Hey there, this is Karen with Naturally with Karen, and I want to thank you for being patient. If you've been waiting for me, I'm a little bit delayed today. I was trying to connect here at Starbucks to the internet. Got my chai with me here. Wait and see if we have some people join in. That's why I've got my bless up, Kim. Good to see you. Had a little bit of a delay. Maybe some negative, some positive, but a little bit going on with the internet here at Starbucks, and here we are. So today I'm going to speak a little bit about your pituitary gland and your, bless up. It's very crucial that you know about your pituitary gland, excuse me, which is in the middle here, small almond little shaped gland, close to your hypothalamus. Now, why do we need to know about our pituitary gland? Because when we go to yoga and we get our ohms on, we do our om, we're resonating up into the chambers, the pituitary, the pineal glands, right? And for that reason, when we know about our chakras, right, we know about our crown chakra and our third eye chakra, or we also call it our far eye chakra. We know about the throat, right, and the solar plexus all the way down. And there are many, many chakras. The pituitary is extremely critical to have it functioning, to have it become what is known in the Bible as being anointed. To be anointed means that all of your secretors and transmitters and receivers are working like they're supposed to. But what if they've never worked as they're supposed to, as you're geared or by design to work? Then you're never going to have the level of intuitive intelligences and multiple intelligences and fast core processor without brain fog than you otherwise could have. So stay tuned, okay? When it comes to your pituitary or your third eye or your far eye, up here, we usually think of it as, between the eyebrows. It has to be able to make a really important hormone. It has to make thyroid stimulating hormone. You know it is TSH. TSH has to come from behind the hypothalamus and the pituitary and down into your thyroid. So your thyroid can start to make and secrete all these hormones so that the connections are made between the brain and the body. So what I started to notice about 25 years ago is that people that had always grown up on dairy and wheat and the standard American diet, because we didn't know any better, I did, you might have, and I found my way around age 23 into raw and plant-based diets, which opened up my whole world. They certainly helped me to pronounce and markedly expand on my intuitive intelligences, so much so that I've given people unbelievable intuitive readings. And you know what? It's not because I'm gifted and you're not. You can too. So this pituitary has got to be fed, which means that when my clients get a hair test that I offer on my Naturally with Karen website under hair testing, profile number 2, and it shows up that they've got calculus, I know they're already getting hardening and calcifications inside of their glands, inside of also their gallbladder, their kidneys, right? Bladder stones. They're getting issues up inside of their brain. And just like 3 of my clients said just last week, they said, I don't know why I'm just getting so lumpy and bumpy, but I'm getting all these cysts. I can feel them inside my body. And I said, well, it's not a mystery to me. They said, oh, they don't want to hear it. Some people do and some people don't. And you know what? There's going to be one super prize nugget out of this live stream that I'm going to give you that I'm going to venture to guess that maybe nobody else knows. Here's what I do. For the last 34 years, after learning from the grandmothers, I went out and I paid to be an herbalist, a massage therapist, a comedic yoga instructor, and on and on and on. But I picked up breadcrumb after breadcrumb, and as Sis Kim knows, I frequently say it's kind of like the Hansel and Gretel story. I found one crumb after the other, and then I put them together just like you will in your work. As you become whatever is important to you, a medicine woman, an original medicine person like myself, someone who can really exercise and feel comfortable with intuitive intelligences, not just from the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, but because these glands, your pituitary, your pineal, and technically your hypothalamus, are going to be anointed. They're going to be really in good shape because of your daily habits, because you know about the plant-based diet, because you know to swerve on wheat, and because you know, because you've got a smartphone like I do, that you're able to just type in, what's dairy doing to me? Or does dairy cause cancer? Or is dairy harmful to me? And you're going to be able to come up with the actual factuals yourself. Now let's go through the list I have, because this isn't going to be an hour live stream. Nobody likes that most of the time. Brain tumors. My cousin Terry Polo died of a brain tumor. Her father, Gary Polo, actually worked at what was formerly in Sappi, what was formerly known as Potlatch Paper Company, as a paper mill. And they lived in Esco, California. Terry would take his clothes once he changed and got home on the swing shift at about 11 o'clock at night. And Terry would put them in the washing machine with some soap because they smelled so bad. But what Terry didn't know is going to be part of the nugget that I'm going to explain to you later. Terry was exposing herself on a daily basis by touching that clothing to all the chemicals that were going on in the paper mill that Gary, her father, Terry, my cousin, is exposed her to. So why did Terry get a brain tumor, but the rest of my family didn't? Why did another mother in that family look crazy, kind of like off a rocker, right? All these things that we say are not happening for no good reason. They're actually a byproduct of your daily habits and choices that you make. Pituitary adenoma. This is where many of our children and our people have got a non-cancerous mass that starts to grow on the pituitary itself. Now, why does this happen? Well, I can show you when you get your hair test done for only $125. That gives me an 8-page report, and it's going to show me what's going on with your trace elements. If you honestly believe that you're water and trace elements, and from those trace elements you make bone, tendons, ligaments, it constructs your organs and your glands, all of your musical, beautiful components that make up you, that are individual and unique to you, then you know for a fact exactly why. When your body has inflammation and food chemicals and shortage of nutritional elements, it's going to show up on your hair test, but it's also going to show up in the way your body is communicating with you that something isn't right. I have often put my hands around doing energy work and massage for 16 years in Minnesota and 16 years previous to that in California, not just massage, but mostly wellness coaching. And I've told people, I can feel the beginnings of something happening inside of your skull. Please, I'll feel it on one side more than the other. I'll say, are you using your cell phone on the right side of your head all the time? And they'll go, yes, I am. How did you know? And I'll say, because I can feel energetically and slightly I can palpate actually a little bit of a mass on the side, which is our next section, temporal stroke. Now, one of my clients, Jill Algren, she nearly died from a stroke, a temporal stroke. And more of these are happening, especially on the right side of your temporal lobes, because of us putting those cell phones to our head. So if you're outside and you're on the phone, or you're in the car especially, and it's looking for an antenna extra hard, right? And you've got it up to your head and you're walking along, or you've got it in your bra, or you're sleeping at night and it's kind of underneath your pillow, please get the phone away from your body, put it on airplane mode, put it in the other room if you can. If you've got emergencies happening with family members, okay, you got to keep it, but put it as far away as possible where you can still hear it. So you're safe, your family member's safe, and you keep the radiation as far away as possible. Kind of a cold day today, but at least it's a little bit warmer. So I washed my hair and got out. Now, what about pituitary and the connections with thyroid? Well, your pituitary gland, like I said earlier, makes your thyroid stimulating hormone. It's one of your many thyroid hormones that you have to have. And sadly, Your allopathic doctor singularly, you've heard me say this before, this is a repeat, often will only test your TSH and then make a conclusive diagnosis based on one of your thyroid hormones, which really isn't the most important, okay? So if your TSH is really, really, really low, your thyroid's starting to go fast and go, help, and it's starting to scream. And if your TSH starts getting higher and higher and higher, above 4, it's really starting to slow down. That's not difficult. What I do for 34 years is help people, real people, to break it down simple, okay? So let's go into the nugget, because I know you want to write this piece down, please. Many people know for a fact, scientific certainty, empirical science, all of the stuff that says this matters more than those of us that see all the intuitives and those of us that know also the medical. Your pituitary gland will accumulate mercury. Remember all those people that you keep saying over and over, you, meaning all of the yous that tell me all the time, God, they're driving me crazy. My family won't quit drinking dairy. They won't believe me when I tell them about wheat. Oh, what am I going to do? They keep eating factory farmed animals full of copper and growth hormone and everything else, and they're sick all the time. I was over at the homeless shelter at Chum twice today. I will often bring some of my body butter and some of the donations that I have. And you know what? The population is getting more and more and more unbalanced when it comes to the mental realm. Well, we're feeding them wheat 3 times a day. We're feeding them tons of dairy products and chocolate milk, and we're feeding them tons of sugar. So do we consider them our family or do we not? I don't know. You tell me. How is your pituitary connected to your thyroid? Your doctor or some of these other fancy doctors that you see on social media are frequently going to talk about an HPA axis. What's that? Your hypothalamus, right there in the brain, your pituitary that we're talking about today that secretes that one thyroid hormone, and your adrenal glands that sit on top of your kidneys. Those are the go-go's, like Kim said, with the norepinephrine and the epinephrine, the noradrenaline and the adrenaline. Okay? Adrenals, adrenaline. The technical term, epinephrine. Okay? That's why people get EpiPens, right? Okay, which I've never used, and I ask people to not use for lots of reasons. So, your HPA is your hypothalamic adrenal axis, right? It's connected to the thyroid, pituitary adrenal axis. You also have an HPT, which is your hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid. Now that sounds really brilliant that someone said, gee, this and this pituitary, this hypothalamus, this pituitary, and this thyroid are connected. But I'm going to say, duh. It makes you sound really important when you talk about the HPT axis, but of course your thyroid is going to be connected to the secretors that make and secrete the hormones in your brain. Come on. So why don't we just say that everything in the brain needs to be connected to the thyroid, right? So I can speak a lot of technical talk with you, but it's not because people are stupid. It's because let's just make it effective, okay? So the big nugget of this is that your pituitary gland accumulates mercury. So for all the people that go, I'm not going to yoga, that seems evil. I don't know, I'm just really analytical. I only trust my doctor. I would never do coaching. Well, where's her credentials? She's not a doctor. And she says she does all this weird stuff intuitively. I don't know. My mom tried doing that stuff a long time ago. My mom's in her 60s, and we all kind of laughed at her. I'm here to tell you, you're the one that's snoozing. Because if your pituitary and your glands are accumulating mercury, that's an absolute perfect way how to shut you down. It's going to dim your intuitive intelligences, so you're not going to hear the things that I hear that you could be hearing. So when all these people came to my table, just like my first book, My Side of the Table, which I'm going to rewrite and I'm going to make it even better because I'm going to become a better author by the day. I gave one woman who came her first or second time, didn't know her well, information about her daughter and a dog that was going to be coming to them, and totally described it, right? I had a pastor's wife come in, and I said, this woman came in, she's like your mother, and I can see it as I'm touching people. Now, this has always been the case, but I don't need to be called a psychic, a medium. Of course I'm medically intuitive, so would you be. Of course I have mediumship abilities, so would you. If it's available to me, it's available to you, okay? So I'm going to cut it short for today, but that's all I have to say. Do you have any questions for me about your pituitary? No. Okay, thank you. All done? Yeah, I'm done.